so I mess with everybody else's. Are you recording?
Yes, I am.
Ready, Nancy?
I'm ready.
We call the order Buffalo Township meeting. Order minutes are, the meeting is being recorded for 80 minutes, and Sue Baker is recording. An executive session was held on March 3rd, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. for personnel matters.
Okay, just a minute. Are you recording?
Yes.
Right now?
We go into reading the minutes.
Okay, the Buffalo Township Board of Supervisors meeting was called to order on Monday, February 19th, 2024 at 7:38 p.m. in the municipal building by Chairman Keith Fitton. He announced the meeting is being recorded to aid in the preparation of the minutes. Keith made a motion to approve the minutes of February 5th, 2024 with the amendment. Mr. Albright's appeal is under section 802, not 801 of the saldo. Gary seconded, motion carried. Art made a motion to approve the bills to be paid with checks 9331 through 9341 from the general fund. Gary seconded. Keith abstained due to mileage being paid to him. Motion carried. Public comment, John Charles inquired if the township is using salt neutralizer. The answer is yes. Secretary Treasurer, Nancy announced that the 2015 truck has been advertised in the newspaper and is listed on Municibid. The auction ends on March 4th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. There have been 15 bids to date. Building code enforcement. Tony reported he issued a permit to Travis Kratzer for a garage and to 1028 Meadow Grove Road for roof-mounted solar panels. The stop work order for Thomas Dobb has not been done. Nancy emailed the building code ordinance to Tony. E. Prima. Keith reported that there was a meeting February 27, 2024. Art is against paying any amount to them until a budget is presented. Solicitor Jones stated the bylaws are almost done. He will be attending their next meeting. Gary made a motion to approve the $5,000 budgeted amount for 2023. He seconded. Art is opposed. Motion carried. Planning Commission, Tim Albright stated they discussed the alternative energy ordinance and inquired where the origins of it came from. He also inquired about the rewrite of the saldo. Nancy stated many years ago the board directed the Planning Commission to update the saldo and nothing was done. John Charles stated the Santiago plan was moved up to the supervisors with conditions. Solicitor Jones talked to Engineer Madden, who received a revised plan today. The Worthy Dog plan was not presented. Gary read a letter of interest from Andrew Buck for any vacant position on the commission. Keith made a motion to appoint Mr. Buck to the commission to fill the vacancy. Art seconded. Gary opposed. Gary opposed. Motion carried. Gary asked Donna Rhodes to speak about her interest in the position. She stated her interest. John Charles is in favor of Donna Rhodes. Nancy stated Tim Albright is up for reappointment. Art made a motion to rescind the appointment of Andrew Buck for the vacancy. Keith seconded. Motion carried. The board will take letters of interest for 2 positions by February 29, 2024 before 5 p.m. Roadmaster, Keith has purchased tools for the garage. New business, Keith made a motion to table the alternative energy ordinance due to the negative comments from the public. Art seconded. Motion carried. Solicitor Jones advised that residents' comments on it should be submitted to Nancy by February 29th before 5 p.m. and then sent to him to revise the ordinance. The process will have to start over. The Planning Commission will need to review and provide comments in writing, as well as the Perry County Planning Commission. Joyce Tompkins inquired if a moratorium could be placed on any new solar farms. Solicitor Jennings stated no, that would not be legal. Old business, Solicitor Jennings will get with Tony to draft a letter to the adult bookstore regarding the RV parked behind the building. Keith adjourned the meeting at 8:31 p.m.
Any additions, corrections to the minutes as read? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nays? So moved. Bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Have a motion to pay the bills, a second.
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nays? So moved. Public comment on the agenda items. Public comment.
You
Okay,
better take
I'll go
this.
first. I have some questions on the procedure you're using to appoint candidates for the Planning Commission. When was this implemented? What is your procedure, and how did you come up with it?
It's, the planning commission people are appointed by the supervisors.
Correct.
Only by the supervisors.
Right, I understand that.
We don't even have to take, we're taking letters of interest as a goodwill thing because there's people interested in it. We don't have to do that. We can appoint somebody or reappoint somebody and that's it.
Okay, what has been the historic procedure?
Every year, there's a new appointment to the planning commission. Every year, there's a term ends.
Okay, are they required to submit a letter of interest? Have they in the past?
I can't answer that, whether we did the letter of interest before. We never had people that wanted to.
Okay,
Okay? We never had people that were on the planning commission. A lot of people get on it, don't show up.
all right. So, the last person who was appointed was Mr. Daimler. What was the procedure you used to appoint him?
We looked
Mr.
for
Who, I'm sorry.
the last person that was appointed.
It was Pete Daimler back in November.
Lon Barrick resigned, he's only filling the rest of Lon's term.
Right. And how did Mr. Daimler find out about the position? Was he offered it? Was he solicited? Was he just, did
We
he
asked
just?
around to find somebody interested at the time.
Okay,
At the time, Donna Rhodes wasn't coming to the meetings. when
Right,
Pete
I-
was appointed. There was
Well,
nobody coming to the meetings. There
Right.
was 5 of us at the meetings then.
okay. The other thing, how many planning commission members do we have?
We had 7. We can have 5. We can have a 5-member board or a 7-member board.
You
But
can
it has
have
to be
5,
done
if
through
you
a resolution.
downsize, that requires an ordinance to downsize, correct?
Pardon?
What?
What did you say?
To downsize the planning commission from 7 to 5, you have to have an ordinance for that.
It's an ordinance or a resolution?
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
By ordinance?
It is an ordinance,
Okay.
okay? So you've been operating with 6 instead of a full board of 7. Is that
And your
correct?
point, and what's your point?
Okay. What was the delay in appointing someone for the 7th position?
The board was working fine the way it was. I mean, there wasn't a problem with it that I was aware of.
And, okay, so,
And Harry Canjoli only resigned when, late January.
Yes, well,
That's the vacant one.
Yes.
He resigned. That's the one we're trying to fill now.
okay. So, the other question I have on that is, you had Tim, who's up for reappointment.
Correct.
Was he required to submit a letter of interest?
I'll refer that question to the chairman.
So what?
Was
he
yeah.
required?
Was he required to do
He
that?
was asked to do that. At the last meeting during the whenever we decided to take letters of interest, since there was more than one person that was interested in filling a single position. So at that point in time, it was requested of him to submit a letter also to be reinstated to the board.
Okay, so you say "we." Who is "we"? Who made that decision? Was it a unanimous decision that you would ask for?
That was at the last meeting.
Okay, and
The one you missed.
when you're pardon?
The one that you missed.
Yeah, the one that I had the flu, yes. Okay, so you already had Tim's position that, you know, how many years has Tim been on that planning commission?
I have no idea.
And has he ever had to submit a letter of interest before? I'm trying to understand.
I don't know where you're going with this, Sue. Get to the point. What is the point you're getting?
My point is, why has the procedure changed? You already had two people who were, well, you had one
Procedure
place.
changed because there's a lot of interest in it now, and there was never any interest in the planning commission before. Never.
Okay,
We never had people wanting to be on the planning commission.
all right.
We had to go ask people to be on it to
Well-
fill vacancies.
Okay, that's wonderful, that we now have people that are interested. But my point is, you already had someone who wanted the position.
We heard about that last week.
Yes, I know you did. I know you did. But so my point is, you know, I don't understand what your hesitation was.
What my hesitation was?
Pardon?
Our hesitation? We
Okay,
don't-
before Mr. Buck submitted his letter of interest, you already had someone who expressed their interest. We were told at the meeting, when we were told that that position was going to be filled, if anyone is interested, leave your name with the secretary. That is what we were told. There was no mention of someone having
Your time is
to.
up.
What's that?
Your time is up.
My time is up. Yeah, and as usual, no answers.
Anybody else for public comment on the agenda?
Yeah, on what she said. Do you interview these people to find out who's the best for the positions? Or do you just go by what the letter that they?
Well, there's gonna have to be some kind of an interview process because you have certain things you can't know.
Yeah,
You know that,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that they knew that you will be doing it.
There'll be questions asked. I don't know if you're gonna call it an interview. And I don't even know how we can have an interview without it being advertised 2 weeks prior to, because I don't know if it has to be public or not. I can't answer that question.
It does.
If you're interviewing people for a position.
Well, you can interview them in an executive session, it's just you can't make any decisions about that until you come to a public meeting. Or you can interview them at a public meeting, if that's what you want to do.
Do you have anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on a second. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just thinking about the discussion here, and it would be, what do you call it, pay dividends if we could hear the vision from the supervisors of where they would like the planning commission to take them. If you could articulate to us and the candidates
My time's up.
expectations, past, present, future. Same way in the solar ordinance, what would you like to see come out of that besides an ordinance?
So you asked about the planning
You don't
commission.
have to, you don't have
All right,
So
no,
you-
he said you don't have to answer.
No, so you asked about the planning commission.
to. No, I asked about your vision.
You asked about the planning commission, about the vision for the planning commission. I look at the planning commission as an assembly of people that represent this township that help review, not only subdivisions, but other things that happen within the township to help give guidance onto the supervisors to make the best decision on behalf of the over 1,200 residents that reside in this township. So, any other public comment on the agenda items? If not, we're moving on. Secretary.
Yes, I had one right to know request, and that was completed. Right now, the auction's still going on for the truck.
Who
They
was
keep
the
extending it.
right to know request from?
Donna Rhodes.
Actually, I think the auction on the truck just ended.
It did end. $40,100.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Unofficially.
Well, I mean,
I'm looking on my cell phone,
I was looking at my cell phone too.
so.
All right, remember I showed you my copy of the right to know request
So-
that I submitted last meeting?
I just want it on
We
record.
sat- Okay.
I want it on record.
I was just gonna say, remember we sat and went over it?
Anyhow, moving on.
We received our liquid fuels funds March 1st, which means I got everything done right and on time.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Nancy?
No.
Building code enforcement.
I issued a stop work order to Mr. Dobbs, that's complete. And that's about it.
Okay.
I got the postcard back to me.
Good.
But I need to talk to you then afterwards, after the meeting.
E-Prima, we had a meeting here. There was actually some residents from this township and other townships that came, which was nice to see. We finally approved and passed bylaws, in which afterwards we redid our officers. Also passed on the invoice from Buffalo Township with the supplies that were bought years ago on behalf of E-Prima back then to the treasurer, so that way they can review and hopefully reimburse us for that.
Well, here's my suggestion, if we hold our $5,000 check until we get the approval from the E-Prima of the expenses that I have collected, and we'll switch checks in.
At the next meeting.
Swap checks at your next meeting? Is that okay, as treasurer, I'm asking that?
So, well, at the last meeting, we approved to pay them, so, I don't see any issues of the items that were invoiced being reimbursed back to Buffalo Township.
I have a question. There wasn't any discussion on how soon they're gonna pay that money back, and because,
It wasn't
your,
for me.
huh?
It wasn't for me.
How quick, how soon are they gonna pay?
As soon as they got our check, they would pay us.
So at the next meeting, they're gonna have a check for us, the next meeting.
If we have a check for them,
They're gonna have a check for us, that's what we're saying right
Yeah, that's
now.
basically what it is.
Because,
You signed the check, so yes.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay,
you wanna table it to the next meeting?
no, I just
Okay.
wanna make sure that we're gonna get our check back, because we've been sitting on, we covered that $4,100 for a couple of years for,
Well, yes,
for
that's
this.
why we wanna get that behind us.